All right, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about AMD. Advanced Micro Devices, selling off a little bit post cash open, but it did gap up in price. What it gapped up on is anything other than good fundamentals here, because that's not what we saw at AMD's report. You are coming in off the extreme low price. The market was punching up a little bit on the overnight, but AMD came in at misses and in line. The miss was on EPS. They came in at 54 cents versus 55. Revenue did come in line at 5.6 billion. Really average numbers coming out of the EPS and the revenue. Typically, those numbers would get bought up a little bit in this environment, given the fact that we are so far down in price here. I mean, in from last quarter's report till today, we're down 40% in AMD. And so the expectations in that bar is extremely low for AMD right now. And they can't even surpass that. The expectations were low. AMD was low, and they weren't done. AMD also lowers specifically fourth quarter guidance. They didn't do anything for 2023, but they did lower fourth quarter guidance a little bit. It's a concerning report coming out of AMD, and it's not leading anything right now. And so I don't think we can look at anything from a technical perspective. It needs a little bit more time and a better technical foundation to build a base bullish case on AMD. Let's move on. Let's talk about DVN, tackle 25. DVN kissing up against resistance, no longer kissing up against resistance with the gap down and sell down here. DVN came in at pretty decent earnings, like we've seen out of most energy companies here. 218 versus 213 on EPS. That's a good handle on EPS. Revenue did top it by about $500 million. Revenue on DVN came in at 5.4 billion. The expectation was 4.9. That represented a 56% increase in revenue year over year. I would say this is very similar to a lot of the other energy companies that have been reporting outside of, say, Marathon, which was one of the hat tricks. CVS got a hat trick today. Marathon got one earlier in the week. But DVN was very similar to what I've seen out of the other energy components. I just kind of got it simple. I just really feel this is just a resistance situation. You're coming into a massive resistance level. As you can see, we're talking all-time highs here on DVN, and DVN just showed a little bit of a gap and a sell down here. I think it's got to be on the radar. This is a wonderful cash flow company, a wonderful trading company, and it's a pretty decent earnings report. It's a tackle 25 company. If we can get a little bit of a doji here and it holds its foundation right above that 70 handle, we could see something there on DVN. But I need some dojis and I need a slowing impact in the market here. But a decent report out of DVN, just not the rock star report that it probably needed to break out of that multiple time frame breakout, all-time high, 52-week high. A lot of different resistance levels right there in that 79 range. So not enough to break through that, and the market's not in the appetite to break through a lot right now until after the central bank. So a little bit of a gap down. Market was selling down on the cash open. As the market sold down, these gaps just sold as well. And so just the market took over a little bit, sold off a little bit. I'm taking it as a nothing to see type situation on DVN. CHK, Chesapeake here. Another energy giant here. Unlike DVN, did have enough to break out of that same multiple time frame breakout channel. However, and when you're looking at that 105 handle, you see the daily chart here, daily chart there, day. You see that daily chart. Well, you come out here and you got that ding over here at 105. That kind of leads you to believe that you got some multiple time frame type situations here, and you absolutely do. You got a nice little cup and handle formation. You're coming into a breakout. A close above 105 would be confirmation. Now, unlike DVN that did not have the energy to break out of its resistance on a beat and a beat, remember, those beats were okay, but they weren't fantastic. CHK here came in at 506 versus 448. Think about DVN, 218 versus 213. That's a beat, but it's a 5-cent beat against a 213 handle. CHK, 506 versus 448. A legitimate 10% beat here. Remember, the beats in the market are only coming in at about 2.2% right now. CHK just beat by 10%, 5 times more than the average stock is beating in the market this cycle. That's a really good report, a really good beat coming out of CHK. Revenue, though, was just disgustingly impressive.
The revenue in these energy
And I
companies.
mean
Yeah.
that, Mark. The expectation was 1.8 billion. This is not ExxonMobil giant. This is Chesapeake Energy. This is a mid-cap type stock. They came in at 3.2 billion. The expectation was 1.8. 1.8, and they came in at a whopping 3.2 billion, representing, think about this number, for example. Energy is representing about 140% increase in revenue year over year. It's having a massive impact on the blended growth number. Without energy, we're coming in at a negative 5%. With energy, and energy doesn't represent a lot of market cap to the S&P. With energy, you're coming in north of 2.2%. Here's CHK. 255% revenue increase year over year. I think it's got to be on the radar. This is a good report coming out of Chesapeake. This is a good technical pattern on both the daily and the weekly chart. And if it wasn't for the central bank here today, I'd be like, let's giddy up and go. But it is with the central bank. So give me a close and let's see how the market responds to the central bank. But Chesapeake, it's definitely, Mark, Emily, the Queen sent me a text this morning, and apparently one of the Wall Street firms has what is it? Oh my goodness, I can't remember. It was like a tactical underperform list. Like me and Em are just dying laughing earlier today. Whatever you call your watch list, get Chesapeake on it, because Chesapeake it's again good fundamentals, good technicals, usually gets a little bit of the heavens and the earth's alignment type feel. You could see a breakout with some legs here, but we got to close above 105 to see it. But if it does close above 105, the earnings is justifiable here. I can't give it a hat trick, Mark, because they don't provide guidance. And you know me, Mark, I don't break rules, especially unless I'm on the highway. I don't break rules, but I'm so close just to giving this hat trick because it was that good of a report. That revenue handle just really kind of stood out. Let's move on. And we were looking at some good things here with Chesapeake, a little bit of Devon. Healthcare was good here today. Chucky, let's go into the not so good a little bit. Paramount just cannot get it together. Communications cannot get it together. Look at communications. Every communication company is begging for a Fed pivot today, because without one, it is look out below to a certain extent. Para here not helping out in any capacity. Para comes in with the miss. 39 cents against 43. Revenue miss 6.9 versus 7.1. They sounded depressed, so we're depressed with them. Breakdown of 18. Can't hold its head above any water here. Just underweight, under pressure, and doesn't have a fundamental argument right now from an earnings perspective. You miss on EPS, you miss on revenue. Yeah, you can make the argument of ultimate value in a company like Para. Look at the sell down. Certainly you can make that argument. Certainly you could look at Para from a longer term perspective, but you got to see a turnaround story. And a lot of times those turnaround stories are on the backs of a catalyst known as earnings or something along a merger or something like that. There's just nothing here. And so Para's got some fundamental value arguments, and you are coming into some pretty important technical levels right here in the 13, 14 range. You're currently at 17. So you could see it continue to fade until we start working into a little bit of a lower level of support. But as of right now, you're kind of in no man's land at 17, and you don't have earnings really kind of to back you here. So a little bit of a stay away in the short term. If Paramount is a long-term investment, covered calls are the name of the game in that environment.